All right, folks, welcome back. We got us a 2005 Buick. It's a LeSabre. It's got the big 3.8, perhaps the best engine General Motors ever made. One of them, we'll say. Engine lights on. Naturally, it's got EVAP codes. McCoy's already hooked a computer to it. Says it has a large leak code. The customer told me that he already did the filler neck and the gas cap, apparently. And then, of course, lights still on. Inspection's overdue. Same story, different day. So he's going to get it on the lift. We haven't done anything else. We're going to look at some data on the scan tool and seal off the vapor system. So your EVAP system on any car is basically fuel vapor recovery. Stores it in a charcoal canister and burns it back through the engine, not releasing the hydrocarbons into the atmosphere, thereby saving the polar bears and the planet. So here is as far as we've gone. You got your classic 455 large EVAP leak in the engine controller. So we're going to pop into the engine controller and we just want to look at fuel tank pressure. It's going to be the main PID here, so evaporative emissions. We want to make sure that our pressure sensor is working, and it is. So GM's 1.4 to 1.6 is usually what we expect. We just did a video the other day and we had 1.3 on an aftermarket sensor, but basically it's at atmospheric pressure. All right, so we can hear it clicking back there, but we also should know from other videos, just because the valve clicks doesn't mean it seals. What we're gonna do now is, with it closed, it's pretty cold. It's only like 10 degrees out. I don't know if the fuel in the tank is volatile enough just pulling it in to start to build pressure. It doesn't look like it is. Typically when you close the valve, the tank will start to build pressure, unless there's a gross leak or the temperatures aren't right. But this one's not building any pressure. So we're gonna open that back up. We're gonna throw an exhaust pipe on it, and then we're gonna turn on the purge valve and see if we can pull the tank into a vacuum. We're gonna go to the purge valve. All right, and what we're gonna wanna watch is fuel tank pressure, either PID, or oh, I hear it clicking. Okay, yep, so it is drawing the tank into a vacuum, so our purge valve works. Okay, so that's good. So we'll shut that back off. And then let's pop out of here. We're gonna go, if they have, I don't know if they have purge and seal. Yeah, they do on this one. So this will tell us, now that we know our canister vent valve clicks, our purge valve works. It's gonna go not venting. We're gonna try to put a vacuum on the tank. We'll let this build up to about 2.5 volts. And then we're gonna seal it off. All right, we sealed it off. Boy, it looks like it's sealing pretty well. That's interesting. I expected that to decay quite a bit faster. All right, well, that's interesting. Appears to be holding vacuum. Go ahead and take the gas cap off for me, McCoy, would you? So McCoy's gonna pull the gas cap off. Let me, just a second before you do that, McCoy. I'm gonna build it back up. Okay, go ahead. He's gonna take the cap off. We should watch that go right back to atmospheric pressure. Tell me when it's off. Okay, yeah, he took the cap off. Okay, that's good. You can go ahead and shut the car off. So you could see when he pulled the cap, it went right back to atmospheric pressure, as we would expect. So turn the key back on, McCoy, if it is. And then, so what we're gonna do now, because this is indecisive, whether or not it actually has what they would determine as a gross leak, there's nothing in service data that tells you, the rate of decay, because that's determinant on, how much fuel's in it, outside temperature, quite a few factors will change how fast the vacuum decays in the tank. So what we'll do now, we're gonna turn the vent valve on. We're gonna hook up the Avoca smoker, and we're gonna see if the system is indeed sealed. So the purge valve lives right under here on the intake.
What's that?
Oh, I just tell them where the purge valve lives. Oddly enough, nobody has touched it. That appears to be the OG. Back here in the corner is where we can tap into the purge valve. So some of my thoughts are, well, what if we hook this up and the system's completely sealed? You know, what's the problem? Problem's intermittent at that point. These are very failure prone. I'm actually kind of shocked that it works. That would be my guess if I had to load up the parts cannon, but we'll see if it's sealed first with the smoke machine. We're gonna unhook the purge line right from the purge valve can. It's got this funny metal clip on it. Not the ha-ha funny kind either. Okay. Then we're gonna get our smoke machine quick connect kit by Redline. Open this little guy up. And then we're gonna find the appropriate size, which is this one here. We're gonna plug that right in. We could choose to use one of these and go back on the Schrader valve. But then if you've got a Schrader valve that's leaking, how would you know? Plus this is a little easier to get to. Let's see here, we're gonna hook up a ground for the Avoca smoker. She laid up, yep. All right, go ahead and hit, well, we'll make sure she smokes first. It's like a hookah. You don't want to put your lips on that one though. All right, let's go back to the scan tool. Canister vent valve is not venting. You can see we're building pressure. If we open it up, it drops back to atmospheric. We'll kick that back on. We're not building pressure at a rapid rate, so we likely do have a real leak. We're gonna let the system fill full, and then we'll do some investigating and see where it could be coming from. The gas cap was off, folks. The Avoca smoker has a flow gauge on it, so we can see if the system's sealed. Flow gauge will drop all the way to the bottom eventually, but we'll let this sit here for several minutes to fill the tank and see what happens. So we've waited quite a while, folks. This stage right here, but we probably did 15 minutes. Definitely should be down by now. Car's pretty rough underneath. She's super rusty. We went underneath it. Don't smell any fuel underneath. Usually EVAP leaks are pretty easy to smell. So previous experience tells me these fuel pumps tend to crack on the top. The ring gets rusty and breaks top the fuel pump. Fortunately for us, there's an access panel in the trunk. McCoy's gonna get that off, and then we're gonna see if there's a leak on top of the tank. Like I say, the whole bottom structure of this car is completely rotted. I mean, so much so it's rotted right through the trunk. Too bad. So he's gonna have to get a lick 'em, stick 'em in another shot, but we'll at least fix the engine light. But yeah, the whole structure of the car, this whole left-hand structure is just rotted right out of it. We'll spritz her down. Get everything wet up here. Usually you'll hear them hissing. I mean, even just the tiniest little hole, you can hear them whistling. Yeah, I'm not seeing any bubbles. Where's the float gauge on that? McCoy is about halfway down. So I'll make sure we definitely have pressure in the system. Oh, okay. Yeah, so there's plenty of pressure in there. All right, well, we're barking up the wrong tree here, folks. We're gonna have to see if we can't isolate part of the system to find out where this leak is. My fear is, though, that this isn't the leak that's setting his code. I think he's got a purge valve that's working intermittently, or a canister vent valve that's not sealing all the time. That's all back together. What we're doing now is, this is the canister vent valve back here. It's the filter for it. I've got it open. I've got the smoke machine on it. We're gonna shut it off to make sure that it actually seals perfectly. So I just shut it off. And I wanna make sure all the smoke completely stops. Make sure it doesn't just keep sending out this little trickle of smoke here. Appears to. I'm going to monitor this for a little while. All right, so that appears that it does seal. So what we're gonna do now is we wanna see is the leak in the canister line area or if it's in the tank. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna isolate the tank. We have to be very careful on this car. It's super, super rotted as far as touching lines and stuff. So I'm gonna see if I can't get the tank line here unhooked and get these release tabs. Okay, there it is. If we can get this off. So it should be smoke coming out of there, a little bit of smoke juice. We're gonna plug this off. And now we're only putting smoke in the canister, coming out into the canister vent valve, which we know is sealed. So I'm gonna get a little rubber plug or something to go over this. And then we're gonna let the smoke machine fill it up and see if that drops the gauge down to 0. So that's capped off. Like I say, that's gonna prove our vent valve, canister, and all the rotted lines. We'll see, oh yep, we can see our flow balls all the way down to the bottom. Ooh, that's hot. Turn the smoke machine on and off, and the ball's all the way at the bottom. So it's completely sealed and holding pressure. So that tells us, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that whatever that small leak is in the tank area somewheres, which there's not much on this tank, because like I say, it is plastic. So we're gonna have to do some investigating. McCoy and I will fiddle around with this to see if we can find it, but that tells us our vent valve is good, the lines are good, and the canister is good and sealed. The leak is 100% in the tank area. We actually found it pretty quick. There's not too many connections on this, so we started spraying down. There it is. So we're just gonna try to tighten up this hose clamp there. See if that fixes it. Well, McCoy's going to get us a hose clamp there. I'm not sold on the fact that this is a problem for the gross leak. GM to fail a gross leak on these older EVAP systems, it's like the gas cap off type gross leak. Usually a leak that's tiny, unless that's worse when it's extreme cold, but we just brought this car inside. It's only 9 degrees outside today. I would have thought that would have leaked worse. So I'm not really sold on the facts that we're fixing this car. McCoy did mention though, he was back here fiddling with the gas cap. When we asked to take the gas cap off, he was having a hard time getting it off, but now it seems to work fine. Not having put my hands on it myself, I don't know if the cap was on there wedged cockeyed because it is a new cap. You know, the customer put a new cap on it. It's got a new filler neck, both aftermarket obviously. So, you know, so I'm not really sure what was happening back there at first, if it was, you know, if it was frozen and he was having a hard time getting it off, or what the story is. You can go ahead and slip that right over there, McCoy. So those are, you know, those are some of my thoughts. What we'll do at this point, we've turned the vent valve on and off a bunch of times. It seems to open and close and seal each time, and same thing with the purge. When we were waiting for that, as I mentioned, McCoy and I were messing around with that, turning the purge valve on and off a bunch of times. My gut tells me we probably have a purge valve that's failing, just from previous experience, but I certainly can't just tell the customer, well, let's just, you know, shotgun a part at it and, you know, hope for the best. What we can do is we can fix what we know is broken. We know this is a leak. Perhaps the algorithm, when they're determining a large leak, maybe that was enough, but experience tells me it's not. But all we can do is make sure the EVAP system works. Purge valve opens and closes, the vent valve opens and closes, and it has the ability to seal. If it does, at that point, I'm gonna clear the codes, give it back to the customer, let them run the EVAP monitor just through normal driving. Winter months like this, sometimes it's difficult to get the full EVAP system to run until it warms up a little bit, because there is some criteria that the computer looks for in order to run the EVAP system. And usually cold weather will knock that right out. The EVAP monitor will take, you know, a month to run. So that's my thoughts, and that's what we're gonna do. The smoke machine is on, we're at full pressure, or as much as the tank pressure sensor can read at this point, but we're gonna press her down again. Make sure we get up on top there. All right, looks like we've got that sealed. So we're gonna let the smoke machine run again and now see if the float's all the way at the bottom. So smoke machine on, everything's sealed. floats all the way at the bottom. The system is now completely sealed. We're gonna take our test equipment off here, folks. So realistically, that's all we can do for right now. You certainly could sell your customer parts based on a hunch. I can't. I mean, I could, but I won't. Like I say, I have a suspicion that the purge valve is failing intermittently. Typically, when I suspect that, I can turn them on and off 4 or 5 times, and one of those times it'll quit. We turn this on and off, more than a dozen times, from 10% all the way up to 100% duty cycle, and it worked flawlessly every single time. At this point, all we can do is fix what we know is broke. Don't mean to sound like a broken record myself, but we did. We fixed the leak. Perhaps that was what was triggering this large leak. I've got a suspicion that it's not. But now that we know the EVAP system is sealed and should work as designed, vent valve works, purge works, system sealed, and the tank pressure sensor works. At this point, all I can do is let the car go and let the drive cycle be run. And if it runs, great, he can go get his inspection. If not, we're gonna have to wait. If it is an intermittent, either A, guess, or B, wait till it's broke, which is my preference. So that's it, folks. Can't win them all. That's that, folks. It's all we can do at this point because we didn't see a gross leak. Nothing was broke, as we've already explained, and perhaps it's deciphering that small leak that we did repair as a large leak, or at some point it was worse and he's fiddling with the clamp on it. It's really hard to say. But at this point, as a shop owner and as a person who just has morals, I can't sit here and just, heave parts at the car and hope they fix. Only can fix what's broke. And that's it. And if your comment section ain't broke, go down there and leave a comment, question, criticism, the Insta, the Facebook. You guys know where to find us at this point. Just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.